Hey everybody, welcome to episode 83 of MAME Politics. It's nice to be back after a little breaky. Hope everybody's doing well. Hi people. Hi Adam. Hey Catherine. Hey No Name. Hey Phil. Hey Bird. Good to see you. Hey Modus. Hey Arnaldo. Hey Soul. Hey Andy. So I got a new toy. And Tom Collector, who's in this channel. Hey Nat, how's it going, man? Tom Collector, who's in this channel sometimes, has been trying to help me basically build the ultimate MAME emulator rig. Something that I can quickly plug in, get going for MAME Politics. I have flaked out on following through on that. So Tom, if you're listening, I'm sorry. I still very much want to do that. But I am a procrastinator. I'm lazy. And I also happen to buy Lori a birthday gift of a mini Sega Genesis. So after getting that, and of course I ordered a mini Sega Genesis that was actually hacked and modded to have most of the Sega Genesis games on it. And we've been playing it like nonstop. I mean, the unfortunate thing is most of the two-player games on Sega Genesis are sports games. And I don't know if you're familiar with the Electronic Arts Sports Library on Genesis. It's pretty dismal in terms of like fun to watch video games. I mean, some of them are maybe fun to play, like Jordan versus Bird. It's kind of a fun gimmick. But the Electronic Arts games in general, they look like fucking shit. Like they almost remind me of like Tengen, like Atari games from like the late 90s, like arch rivals. Like imagine like I mean, if you guys have played Genesis sports games, you know what I'm talking about. They're like the shittiest aesthetically looking games. Like in some ways the Genesis sports library like it like regressed from even like the Nintendo sports library in terms of the aesthetics. In the game. It's in the game, man. Yeah, didn't they start adding like an actual voice sample of like a guy being like, it's in the game, like on Sega, like instead of the Sega. Genesis was definitely trying to be like the more badass, like we're the cool kids, we're fucking edgy. Check out our blood code on Mortal Kombat. You know what's weird about Mortal Kombat 1 for Sega Genesis is, first of all, the blood in it does not look anything like the arcade. Like, the droplets and the sprites were, like, completely redrawn, and it doesn't even make sense, really. And what's also weird about Sega Genesis is Sega Genesis has a perfectly capable FM synthesizer sampler in it, and it has a completely different score, totally different songs than the Mortal Kombat 1 for the arcade. It's very, very strange. I don't understand why they didn't use Dan Forden's music and instead just had somebody make a whole new score. It's not a bad score. But I have actually realized over time, most of the people I know growing up, they remember the Sega Genesis Mortal Kombat 1 score. That's their sort of nostalgia bank for Mortal Kombat music. And I find that interesting because it's not by Dan Forden. It's a totally different score. And the original arcade Mortal Kombat score is just so much better. I mean, it's incredible. It's like prog math rock shit. Dan Forden is obviously like a experienced rock musician of some kind. You can even just tell that he understands like drumming. I mean, some of the rhythms and stuff on those Mortal Kombat scores are very like black metal drumming. It's hard to explain unless you're sort of a head up their own ass music nerd like me. But yeah, so long story short, I was so excited about Lori's mini Sega Genesis that I bought myself a mini Super Nintendo. And when I bought myself a mini Super Nintendo, I realized that I could actually buy it with a shitload of other games and emulators on it too, not just Super Nintendo. But there was a guy on eBay who was selling a pretty nice mod that has MAME, that has the entire Game Boy Advance library on here. Um, and yes, I am bootlegging games. I don't know if that's against the YouTube rules to admit you are copyright infringing, but that is the case. Um, and so, yeah, what's actually really interesting is there's a lot of like Game Boy Advanced has the most licensed games of any system I've ever seen. And I guess I must have just been sleeping on this, or I didn't really have Game Boy Advance when it came out. But like every conceivable property you can think of from the time the Game Boy Advance was out, like kids TV show, Disney Channel shows, they all have their own fucking game, and it's hilarious actually, because they're not shitty games. You know, it's kind of like a mixture between the Super Nintendo engine chips, I think, and it also actually has the sound chip on it is not as powerful as the Super Nintendo. So that's the first thing you notice on Game Boy Advance is it's like a Game Boy Advance. I mean, it's like a Super Nintendo with shittier sound, but also more interesting sound in a way because it also has a synthesizer channel. So it's not just all samples like the original Super Nintendo was. So it's got this sort of weird, like lower quality than the Super Nintendo, but at the same time higher quality because everybody's like pushing the weight of the system in the sense that all these game developers, you know, were post Super Nintendo, so they like already knew all the tricks. They already knew how to do like the craziest shit on the Super Nintendo engine. So even like some of the shittiest games on Game Boy Advance still look like more later period Super Nintendo games visually. Like the graphics will be better, even though it's at a lower resolution. So I'm kind of impressed and obsessed right now with sort of the Game Boy Advance library. There's a lot of like really impressive pixel art on it because again it's at a even lower resolution than SNES, so it's like they had to really economize with the pixels. So I'll pop up a couple Game Boy Advance games on this episode just because I'm sort of amused by them and I don't know, just sort of fascinates me. But today I found a very interesting game that I've never heard of before. That was, I guess, only released in Japan. Now, it appears to be a game that's all in English. You can see it on the screen here. It actually has parallax scrolling for a original Nintendo NES Famicom game. I mean, that's very unusual. And it's a later period Konami game. I think it was released after Super C. So this game, like a lot of the Konami games from the time, uses that incredibly beefy sort of sound palette for the Nintendo music and the sound effects. The kick drums, the snare drums are sampled in Konami music, and this game sort of epitomizes that really beefy, dialed-in Konami NES music era. And what's also really interesting about this game, Crisis Force. Sorry, actually forgot the title for a second. What's also interesting about Crisis Force from 1991 is it's an overhead shoot 'em up, and I don't know if you guys have played any shoot 'em ups for the original NES, like Life Force or Tiger Heli, or there's a couple other ones. They're pretty basic. I mean, Life Force might be the most advanced one that was popular when I was a kid. Life Force is kind of like a Gradius spin-off. And Gradius also came out for the NES, although for some reason that wasn't as popular when I was growing up. Even though they're like virtually identical gameplay, they just have different levels. This game, Crisis Force, is arguably the most advanced, by far, shoot 'em up side scroller overhead of the 8-bit era, like by far. And I'm shocked I've never heard of this game. I always watch those stupid like top 20 obscure, you know, NES or obscure Super Nintendo game lists on YouTube. And I've never seen this game pop up for some reason. And so I wanted to show it to you guys today. I wanted to play it for a little bit, maybe play through a couple levels of it. It's really, really impressive. And you'll understand instantly why this is like a very advanced Nintendo game for the time. There's a lot of power-ups. There's damage that happens to the levels. Like you can break parts of the levels, like buildings on the screen, kind of like Raiden style. Um, in a way, I almost feel like this game, maybe Raiden was actually out at the time already in arcades. This seems like someone really trying their hardest to do a Raiden quality shoot 'em up on an 8-bit system, and they fucking succeeded. And that's like incredible to me. So I'm always into finding games that are sort of pushing their own weight on these systems and that are obscure. So if you know of any games like that are just like, barely talked about but are extremely fun to play, especially action games. I don't know if I've already said on this channel enough times that I'm not into RPG games. So no matter how many times you want me to play Final Fantasy or Chrono Trigger or those kind of games, it probably won't happen unless it's an episode where I just want to talk for like 2 hours and put something like that on the background. So if you guys have any questions for me or want to bring up any topics now before we get started with the gaming, let me know. I'm going to take a potty break and I'll be right back. We also just released Director Westfield. It's both at the same time, dude, which is also what makes me pretty impressed by it. Like in terms of a co-op game, this is like one of the most active and intense co-op games I've ever seen for Nintendo. And there's like hardly any slowdown too, which is like, I don't even understand how they did it. But anyways, I'll be right back. Be patient. All right. So, has anybody here yet had a chance to listen to both parts of the Masonic history episode we just did for Media Roots? Oh, Bird Worldist. Okay, sir, I will. Helicopter on Mega Drive Best. Rev Jed Morse. Are you talking about Desert Strike, Urban Strike, Jungle Strike? Because those games are fucking crazy. I just want to comment. I don't know if you're talking about those games, but if anybody hasn't played Desert Strike, Jungle Strike, Urban Strike, I forgot the name of the other one. There's one more. Those games, I would argue, before Call of Duty, before Counter-Strike, I'm trying to think of like the really realistic war first-person shooter games. Before those games, that game series by Electronic Arts is arguably probably the most mass-produced and massively popular game that feels actually disturbingly realistic, like you're murdering people in wars. And even though the sprites are very small and it's like an isometric graphic game, it really does feel eerily too much like a real military activity. And to me that's sort of interesting because we all know now that Pentagon consults on all these modern first person shooters, but like we don't even go back to the era of like the 90s and the 80s and think, what was the Pentagon consulting on back then? I mean, we already know the FBI and DEA, had their signage all over like 90s arcade games. Don't do drugs. Winners don't do drugs, that kind of thing. But I wonder if Electronic Arts in particular did have some kind of relationship with the Pentagon, because that series was very, very popular. Was kind of trying to glorify real violence and war in a way that other video games did not do. And I have not seen the new Call of Duty thing except for like the Reagan clip. So maybe I need, if anybody has anything to show me from that, feel free to post a clip or something. Nice. Halfway through the second one. Cool. Well, if anybody has any questions about that, the podcasts, I'd be happy to answer any here. Part 3 of the podcast. Some of the questions you have from part 1 and 2 might be answered on part 3. I don't want to spoil any of the research that I've done for part 3. But I'll give you a hint as to what it will be about. I mean, it's basically going to go all the way until after World War II. So, yeah, part 3 of the Masonic History episode is just going to be pretty much everything I didn't cover chronologically. And I'm a little worried. I think that one actually might have to be like 6 hours long. Because if you couldn't tell from part 2, I only covered the years 1790 to like 1837, I think. So if I'm only able to cover 47 years in 5 hours, that doesn't bode well for part 3 being a short podcast. Yeah. Even though I think the stuff that I covered in part 2, that I would argue that was like sort of the most activity that's ever happened in the history of like Freemasonry in the United States. Like the mid 1800s is like the first third of the 1800s is kind of like the golden age of Freemasonry. $16.20. Yeah, Rev. I did in the first episode. I went all the way back to 1599 because technically, I think it was the first lodge in Scotland, the first speculative Freemasonic lodge open in Scotland. I talked about the meeting of the first 4 lodges in England in 1717, and then I also speculate on if Masons are just lying or bullshitting, making up the idea that they actually do come from a lineage of stoneworkers guilds from the medieval ages or even before the biblical times. I personally don't think they do. I think that it's a clever way to insert themselves in history. I have not really seen much proof myself other than overzealous Freemasons who want to make themselves seem really important throughout history, linking the actual stoneworkers guilds of Masonry to Freemasonry. Benai Brith. Shane, I'm not familiar with him. Tell me a little bit more. I don't know anything about that. Is that a Mormonism? Is that something to do with Mormonism? I think the thing that I probably was most interested to learn myself on researching this podcast was how much Joseph Smith leaned on Freemasonry and how linked it is with Freemasonry. Oh, Terror Toddler. It's full on. I mean, basically, Mormonism would not exist if it weren't for Joseph Smith lifting a shit ton of things from Freemasonry, and not just the rituals and the temple rituals, but the actual lore itself from Freemasonry. The idea that in King Solomon's temple, they had these original, like, special rituals, like religious rituals. Mormonism is claiming to be the real Masonry. I'm not kidding. Like, there's actual original Mormons, very prominent ones, not Joseph Smith specifically, but other ones from the first, like, 12 main Mormons in sort of a hierarchy. One of them I actually quote in part 2 saying that Mormonism is the real Freemasonry, that Freemasonry is a bastardized version of the temple ritual, and Mormonism has sort of reclaimed and actually learned what the original temple ritual is. So the linkages are so extreme that it's actually insane. And I was like really, really surprised to learn about how deep the connections are. Joseph Smith was a Freemason too. His whole family was. His brother was named Hiram, which is not a biblical character that you would normally name a child, even like in the religious revivalist era. That's a Freemasonic name, Hiram Abiff. King of the Hiram, king of Tyre, in the Bible, is a character also, but is not like a big deal in the Bible. He's like mentioned once. So for someone to actually name their child, that is interesting. It'd be like someone naming their child Tubal-Cain. That would be how Masonic it would be. Almost like more, it would be more extreme than naming your child Tubal-Cain, I think. Fascinating. Shane, no, I have not heard of that. That's totally off my radar. You know what's interesting, Terror Toddler, is Freemasonry, as far as I know, actually allowed Joseph Smith into lodges to attain degrees even after Mormon was a rising religion, even after people were worried about it being like a dangerous cult. There were like protests against it. There were Masonic lodges that still let Joseph Smith in and all of his people in and let them attain degrees. So in terms of the entire like Masonic, you know, like culture in the United States, I don't really know. I haven't really discovered yet how Masons felt about Mormonism, but I would assume that they probably would pretend that it didn't exist. I mean, because on one hand, you could say that I don't think Masons acknowledge Mormonism very much, and I think that's intentional because imagine if, you know, you had this secret society with all these rituals and lore, and sort of internally in the secret society, it's sort of anti-cult. And I'm not saying that that means necessarily positive, but it's set up in a way where you're supposed to be your own god. You're supposed to be a self-made man. You're supposed to be in charge of your own domain. You are not a servant necessarily to God. And what Mormonism did was they basically stole all these things from Masonic lore and popular culture and turned it into a cult following like an enigmatic cult leader. So I'm sure on some level Masons were very upset that Joseph Smith stole things off of them and used it to form like a hardcore, you know, dogmatic religious cult, essentially. Because Masonry, even though it's a secret society, even though they take blood oaths and all this stuff, it was never a cult with a leader necessarily until maybe arguably Albert Pike is the closest Masonry got to having a sort of an enigmatic cult leader, but it was more done through just his influence. You know, Albert Pike didn't present himself as that. So Director Westfield, if you're a subscriber to Media Roots Radio, check it out. I mean, we just did 10 whole hours on the Masonic history of the United States. Hey Tom, good to see you. David Graeber, yeah, you know, I have to admit, I'm not familiar with his work, and I know I probably should be. He seems like someone that was on a lot of podcasts and shows that I like, and so yeah, that's very sad news. I know people are very upset about that loss. I have come to a you know, I know maybe I present myself sometimes on here as being someone who's interested in avoiding sort of the trendy conspiracies that are in the air, and then I'd rather focus on ones that I think are more legitimate or real. I mean, and I do that, but I also think that I don't want to give people the impression that I don't think in incredibly conspiratorial ways sometimes about things that all you guys are probably thinking about all the time. So, for example, you know, I've been accused of being too harsh on Assange, too harsh on WikiLeaks. You know, even people have given me shit before for saying that I do think that Roger Stone and other people from Trump's campaign were given early access to the WikiLeaks dumps. Some people don't like when I say that because it sounds maybe like too Russiagate-y, or I'm playing into the Mueller report or something. But here's what the conclusion that I've come around to on that is that I do think the DNC emails and the Podesta emails were both hacks, not leaks. I don't think Seth Rich had anything to do with it whatsoever. I think they were hacked and then leaked by U.S. intelligence. 100%. I don't think I'll ever be able to go back on this belief after all the research that I've done and after following Russiagate for so long. The hacks of the DNC and the Podesta emails were an inside job. There's really no other way around it, because and I think I want to sort of encourage you not necessarily to buy into my theory just on its face and be like, yeah, Robbie's sounds great, let's go along with this theory. No, I want you to look back at the series of events that have happened in the last 3 years through that lens and see if things match up for you, because they do for me in a very serious way, in the sense that almost every time I look back now and look back at something from Russiagate or something having to do with that, it's very, very hard for me not to see these connections now. Tucker Carlson's father and Roger Stone were close. Yes, John, that's absolutely true. That's absolutely true. And here's why I think the Russia thing is a really convenient scapegoat, because if it was a hack done by people in U.S. intelligence, how would that be investigated? How would that even be investigated? What are they going to do? It makes sense why Russia's a convenient scapegoat to absolve almost like all parties involved in this, and a politically convenient tool to just use it to sort of grease the skids of that new Cold War. I think maybe on some level Trump was fooled, or, I'm not saying the Mueller investigation was a white hat secret, thing to absolve Trump, but it clearly, that's what it ended up doing. I mean, it ended up almost vindicating Trump. So you do have to wonder if Robert Mueller ever intended to, at the end of this, actually level any real Russia connections at Trump. You really have to wonder. You also have to wonder, why did they care so much about these email leaks? What was in those email leaks that may have moved the needle the most? What was in them? Yeah, the DNC stuff about getting questions in advance, and the Bernie cheats, and the conspiracy to stifle him was a big deal. Debbie Wasserman Schultz had to step down as DNC head. All that stuff is a big deal. The Clinton Foundation stuff is a big deal. But I think we can all agree that what eclipsed all of that was the narrative about Pizzagate that came out as a result of those emails. So it's very curious to me that Mueller's report, I don't even think there's one mention of Pizzagate at all in the entire report. So that's interesting to me. But I'm just saying this because I want you guys to know that I still think about really crazy shit all the time. And I just don't publicly tweet about it or talk about it that much because, especially with a theory like this, I needed to simmer and to think about it a lot more before I'm going to go on someone's podcast and be like, here's my theory. I'm going to break down to you how U.S. intelligence or people in the deep state hacked the DNC email servers and John Podesta's emails and released them and somehow laundered them to WikiLeaks. So basically what I'm saying is, yes, I'm not saying WikiLeaks was part of a deep state operation, but I am saying that WikiLeaks may have been fooled by U.S. intelligence. I definitely am saying that. And I don't see why they wouldn't have been. I mean, think of if they were really a legit leaking organization, of course U.S. intelligence is going to try to find a way to fuck with them as a response in some form. So why wouldn't it be just sort of using them, for this? I don't know. I mean, I know it sounds wacky, but what are you going to do? Because I just think it's, there's a game happening right now. It's like, I don't believe that the deep state is out to get Trump. I don't believe it. But I do believe that there is a perception being deliberately created out there, even by his opponents, to make that appear to be the case. Now, let me explain. So there was an editorial from 2 weeks ago, you guys maybe have seen it already, where it says something like 50 or 75 national security GOP officials, intelligence officials, are not going to vote for Trump and are going to vote for Biden. I mean, when I see something like that, I'm like, do they want people to think the deep state's against Trump? Like, why would they put this out? Because 4 years ago, it had no effect. Nobody voted for Hillary. I mean, maybe very little people voted for Hillary after seeing those kinds of anti-Trump letters signed by national security officials. So you really have to wonder, these people are in intelligence. They understand. What's the thing Jim Garrison says in the movie JFK? You got to think the way the CIA thinks. Black is white, up is down. I mean, so if their intention isn't to get people to vote for Biden, what is their intention? Maybe their intention is to make people believe in this country that the deep state is against Trump. I mean, because I think that that's clearly not really happening. We're being led to believe that that's happening. And I think that's a really fascinating thing because, this whole idea that the CIA is against Trump, I mean, they're clearly not. This idea also, I think maybe Abby and I discussed this in the last podcast. I can't remember if we did. But this idea that there are Trump officials who claim that they're worried John Brennan is going to assassinate Trump. Apparently this leaked out of the Trump administration. That there are high-level officials who believe that John Brennan is trying to assassinate Trump. Well, let's just stop being naive dumbasses here for a second and agree that if a CIA director, even probably a former one like John Brennan, really wanted to kill the president, he would probably already be dead. So what is actually going on here? This is sort of what you need to... I think this is what we need to really think about. Why are we buying into any of these narratives at all? It's not just the QAnon ones we shouldn't buy into. It's like this whole paradigm seems like a total fucking setup, honestly. This whole goddamn paradigm does. I know that sounds wacky as fuck to say, but like, it's just too convenient. What's happening right now is very, very bizarre. And then when you have all these protests and, I don't know. I mean, and then I was talking to someone else the other day. They're like, well, why would there be some kind of conspiracy to create a fascist state, like to turn America fascist? I mean, the only explanation I could think of is that the people in power just desperately want to hold on to it, and they're afraid of the people. I mean, it's sort of a tale as old as time. That's really the best explanation I can think of. And I mean, I talked about the other shoe dropping after 9/11 for a while. But I don't think COVID-19 is it. I mean, I know we discussed that in here, that was going to be, that's the other shoe. bioweapon, release. Like it could have been, sort of like deliberately released by somebody. We toyed around with those ideas in here, but what if the other shoe dropping is like when we're on our fucking knees begging for somebody to like come help us? I mean, I'm worried about what's going to happen months from now. In the sense that people are economically destitute. People are terrified. They've riled up all the right to think that every major city is in flames. There's clearly a strategy of tension being used by the Trump administration. Clearly. That's not up for dispute. But who else is using the strategy of tension? I mean, is it as simple as the paradigm that sort of the more clickbait conspiracy people say, where it's like the MSM and the deep state are running their own strategy of tension while Trump is doing it, at the same time? The Gladio regime change kind of operation thing, I'm only interested in exploring that theory from a domestic inside angle, not foreigners, because I think that whole thing is a ruse. That sort of, this is a color revolution happening here. No. There are crazy domestic actors here who clearly like have no compassion for anybody in this country. I mean, this is like a petri dish, corporate sacrifice zone, experimental. Like, what kind of psyops can we run on this population and fuck with them kind of a population? The deep state has made an anti-deep state narrative. LOLs. I mean, that's kind of is what I'm saying, and I'm glad that you find it amusing, because why wouldn't they do that? I mean, why? Just like before, they infiltrated the 9/11 truth movement and tried to ruin it from the inside. I mean, why wouldn't they just create an anti-deep state narrative that's just fake? I haven't even played any of this game yet. I'm too excited to talk to you all you guys, and get weird with you that I'm not playing games. Thanks, Jenny. I missed all you guys too. I really did. There's an Akira game for Famicom also. It's bad. It's not bad, it's just not good. I'm going to try to play this now. Actually, you know what? Let's get some action. Let's get some musical action in here right now, because... Hold on. This game has incredibly good music. So I'm just going to like play this in the background for a second. You guys hear that? I love this music. JNNX, I don't know. You know what? My take on the People's Party is this. I am not in the business anymore of joining together with parties, supporting parties, or politicians in any way, shape, or form. It's nothing personal against any of the people in it. I think even my sister put sort of her endorsement on it a few years ago without really knowing much about it herself. I'm taking the approach of, unless I know something thoroughly, unless I know the person personally, I can't endorse it. I just can't. I mean, I want to sort of, Big Tent. It would be fun to be a Big Tent guy. It's just not me. And a lot of the people at that event, let's be frank, are people that, some of them I have very strong disagreements with. A lot of them were Tulsi shills, including surrogates. I think Tulsi is an extremely toxic figure that is essentially part of some kind of op to ruin and siphon energy from the anti-war movement. I think she's a total phony. So, yeah, I mean, it's not my thing. Totally not my thing. Yeah, there's desperation for positive things to happen, but let's be honest. America is fucked. I mean, yeah, I want people to live happily here, and I want people to be able to support themselves and feed themselves and stuff, but I mean, who the fuck do we think we are in this country, man? We're a terrible, terrible society. I mean, seriously, after doing this Masonic episode, it just really brought everything home for me of how fake and shitty this country is. Like, yeah, I don't have any love for the UK or France either, but at least, like, they were around for a long time and had a rich culture, and even though they did horrible things in colonialization and mass murder and war, I mean, we don't even have, like, we have no culture. It's just like a joke with this, what we think we are in this country, YouTube commenter 365. I don't know if I'll have Scott on again. It's nothing really, like, I still like his work and stuff, but for some reason he, like, went after Abby and Mike and called them, like, commies. There's some weird, like, Twitter fight between, like, libertarians and Abby or something, and I just thought it was really babyish and uncalled for. So, yeah, I mean, and plus, I don't necessarily see eye to eye with Scott on certain things. Like, he did bring Ryan Dawson on his own podcast years ago, and it sort of got him in the crosshairs of, like, the SPLC and ADL, and it's like, why of all the 9/11 truthers to bring on your show would you bring on him? Like, you're already, like, Scott takes this sort of anti-truther approach now, which is understandable, but it's like, of all the people to bring on who are truthers, you brought on a guy who is now praising Hitler on social media and, like, as an alt-right troll. I mean, so, whatever. Nobody's perfect. I think Scott's great. But look, I have problems with that pretty much everybody. So if you're going to hear me, like, say mildly negative things about people, I think those things about everybody who does work in this scene. And I'm sure everybody does too. It's just like they just don't talk about it because they want to be Big Tent. They want to be, I don't know. I still like the people from Counterpunch. Jeffrey St. Clair, I like Ken Silverstein, but, like, they're, like, vehemently anti 9/11 truther. They're so anti-conspiracy to the point where I felt like I was almost having to lecture them today on how bad QAnon is, because they just simply, well, especially Jeffrey St. Clair, he just was acting like it's the same as the Bircher movement, Pat Buchanan, and I just kept going back and forth with him and some of his followers, like, this is not the same. This is definitely not the same. And I really don't think you could fully process or grasp that unless you understand QAnon and Pizzagate and how it evolved. I have read Justin Raimondo's work, yeah. It's Justin Raimondo's, I think his Achilles heel was his nationalism. He actually spent about a whole page or two in that book bashing people who thinks the Bush administration was involved in 9/11. And he actually bashes Cynthia McKinney and different people because he is fixated on the idea that it was Israel just by itself. And I do not subscribe to that theory. I think that people who believe that, generally speaking, are either very nationalist or anti-Semitic. I mean, there are Israeli connections to different aspects of 9/11 that are fascinating, that should be looked into. I did a whole episode on the Israeli art students thing. But to me, that book is sort of a clue into Raimondo's uncurable nationalism, you know? And that, I think, was a problem. And yeah, the dancing Israelis thing, I mean, the fact that so many of those types of truthers focus on that, it's like clearly that was some kind of red herring. Like, who would do that? That was done to catch the attention of people for some reason. So if you think that's the smoking gun of Israeli involvement, you would honestly have to be crazy. You would have to be insane, I think. There are other things that are more compelling than that. I would love to, Tom. I would love to trick him on my show. That'd be amazing. He's gone through like 4 midlife crises. That's what's so weird about him. Like when he came to Pleasanton and started opening restaurants, it was like obvious that he was having a midlife crisis. The murals he had painted of himself in the restaurant was very odd. He wanted to make Pleasanton, California, the town I grew up in, seem like this hot nightlife spot. And it's like, dude, what is wrong with you? You're like an Ruby Hills old dude who just probably like wants, you know, it was weird. The mural that he had in his main restaurant, Stacy, was so bizarrely painted over so many times that when you would eat in the restaurant, me and Abby would look at it just mystified, thinking, what did they paint over in this mural? There's a hidden ghost figure there. Did they move that guy to the other side of the mural? Why was Scott Adams and holding a woman painted on that part of the mural, but then painted over, you could see the ghostly image of Scott Adams still there. He slightly moved him over. It was a very, very bizarre mural. And someone must have worked on it for months because it was like repainted and painted over and erased. And it was fucking bizarre. And yeah, it looks like he got some like sugar daddy situation going with like a young Amador High School student, which is fascinating. Because, I mean, he's kind of probably the only celebrity in Pleasanton besides like John Madden. I think John Madden still lives there. So like, it is weird that he would pick up like a girl who lived in that Alameda County, like Contra Costa County area. It's just really creepy. It was a really shitty. I mean, it wasn't shitty. Actually, was not terrible. It was like an Italian American restaurant that had overly expensive entrees. I don't know if there's a basement. But I do wonder how Scott Adams met his girlfriend, who appeared to still be in high school when he first met her. I do wonder how that happened. Like where in Pleasanton you meet high school aged girls at his age. Maybe he went to like an Amador High School football game or something. I'm trying to picture it in my head. Like, was she working at like a local Dairy Queen in the mall? I also thought it was hilarious that one day Mike Cernovich came to Scott Adams' house and interviewed him for like 2 hours, and I recognized where they were. um, and I was thinking, oh my god, it'd be so funny to see Mike Cernovich in the town I grew up in. Can I talk about Dan Savage and Russophobia? Sure. I think Dan Savage is actually was unofficially working as an employee of the Obama administration during the Obama presidency. I think that he was actually working as a propagandist for Obama. And we already know that he did the It Gets Better campaign for Obama. So technically, that's already on paper. He was being paid by the Obama administration. He was working for the Obama administration to do the It Gets Better campaign, which everybody thought was great. You know, nothing's wrong with it. Even though Obama never endorsed gay marriage, everybody thought that was great. I'll never forget the fact that Dan Savage promoted the Iraq War. I mean, he's like mocking people and calling them hippies and idiots and like Saddam Hussein lovers in his article in The Stranger, saying that's called "Say Yes to the Iraq War." I honestly think he's a fucking sociopath, to be honest. Some of the sex advice he would give out to people, I thought was blatantly sociopathic. I mean, I don't consider him a sex positive person either. I consider him someone who encourages people to be dishonest all the time. I mean, I don't know how often you guys have read his sex column in The Stranger, but he would regularly encourage people to lie to their partners, to cheat, you know, if they're not getting enough sex and things like that. And it's like, why don't you just like encourage like honesty? If you're in a non-monogamy, why not encourage like people being honest? It's like, what kind of sociopath piece of shit are you, dude? You're a neocon and you just are constantly encouraging people to lie to their partners. Like, why would you be? Like, it just didn't make sense to me why he was so famous. To me, he existed in the world, in the era of edgelordism, where it was like somehow cool to be a total piece of shit and an asshole. Like how Vice would be like running articles with Terry Richardson with like a pussy up against his face, and it's like, this dude's obviously like a fucking rapist. Why are they running these articles? It was just kind of reminding me of that era of fucking idiocy in this country, where it's like, we're sex positive and drug positive, but we're also sociopaths. I'm actually very drug positive and sex positive, but I'm not a sociopath, and I wish that more of that stuff from that era wasn't mixed in together with like sociopathic, like edgelord, stupid bullshit. Oh, Director Westfield. I don't know if Alexander Reed Ross is smart enough to be a Fed. I think he's pretty fucking stupid, but he's definitely not a legit actor. He's definitely being used by like spurious actors to try to ruin people in left anti-imperialism and link them with racism. I mean, he's a total snake. I don't know about that. I mean, if you think they're using sex and drugs for control, JNNX, then, I mean, what do you think about the Israeli art student story? You think the Israeli government was pumping America full of ecstasy before 9/11 so we'd all have a fucking serotonin crash? Sorry, Triox. Are you the one who corrected me yesterday? You said you didn't like me using the word psychopath. Um, I already have 50 viewers in here. I'm surprised. Cobrush, I think the October surprise will be I'm worried it will be some kind of massive attack. And it actually would not have to be a terrorist attack on the scale of 9/11. I'm actually most afraid right now of something like a right-wing MAGA loyalist Trump politician getting killed in public. After what I saw that they did with the Rand Paul thing, that to me really scares me and makes me worried that that could be something that could really make things pop off. If a politician gets killed by a leftist, is what I'm saying. October surprise could be another check. Yeah, it could be. I mean, that would be a smart play by Trump, I think. I think he could take the risk. That's what I was telling Abby on the last Media Roots. I definitely think Trump could take the hit. I mean, what are the people going to do? Be like, "Oh my God, you're such a socialist." No, I mean, people are already such worship. I mean, they just worship him so hard already that I highly doubt that that'll actually like negatively impact his chances of getting elected. Yeah, Director Westfield, I mean, he might not need one. All he has to do is just keep amping up the rhetoric he's already using. Triox, no, I haven't heard that theory, but I don't think that's going to happen. No, I don't. I also don't think Trump is going to bomb another country either. I don't think so. I don't think just simply bombing another country at this point is enough to get people like super, super, riled up to want to support the president. At this point in time, maybe I'm wrong, but unless it depends on where it is. Like if it was Iran, maybe. Venezuela, no. I just can't see very many like right wingers being like super excited about attacking Venezuela. Maybe they would be though. I don't know. Also, what do you guys think of this talking point retort when people say that Trump hasn't started any new wars? What do you guys think about that? Because I discussed this a little bit in Media Roots last time, and I'm interested to know what you guys say in response to that. Because technically, I don't even know if that's true. And what kind of war are we actually talking about? Like, what defines a new war? Because did the U.S. send ground troops? Okay, when is the last time U.S. sent ground troops into another country that wasn't a Delta Force type of raid, wasn't a drone strike, wasn't a special forces raid? Yeah, I suppose Syria. Yeah, Karush the Great. I think that's the point I'm actually trying to make. I'm glad you said that because so Karush the Great says I think it's easy to say he hasn't started any new war because all wars are now these weird, blurry, covert drone proxy situations. Yes. That's also why I have a problem with Tulsi Gabbard sort of like I am anti-regime change but hawk on terror because when is the last time we've done full on regime change? I mean, was Libya? Would Libya considered full-on regime change? I mean, I think technically it would be, right? Because, like, even though the rebels are the ones who sort of eventually took out Gaddafi, they were sort of proxy forces of ours. But did we even install our own puppet government, or did we just let the country like collapse in Libya? Catherine, yeah, I think that's more my take on it. It's like regime destruction. Iraq and Afghanistan was attempted regime change, like a full-on deployment of full-on ground troops, air deployment, everything, intelligence, the whole works, and troops staying after the government's already taken over by a new government a puppet government we put in place. Interesting, Triox. Okay. Who put them in power? Like, how did do you know exactly how the interim government in Libya actually came to power? Who brokered that? Was it the U.S.? Was it France? See, these are details I don't fully know. Fuzzy Crimpet, she wasn't just a CFR member. She actually hosted several of her own private CFR events in Hawaii that never had any auditing done to them, never a transcript, no minutes, nothing. And to me, that's actually more disturbing than her simply being a CFR member. She was trying to court the think tank, the CFR, by having her own events. And nobody likes talking about that. Oh, guess what else? She got invited to the secret Bill Crystal Sea Island retreat. And she was given a speaking slot there. I guess nobody cares about that either. I mean, it's just bizarre how many of these things that nobody ever brings up about Tulsi and just takes all of her rhetoric at face value. It's like, no, you should actually only look at someone's record and try to understand how they evolved from being a total neocon to being someone who claims they're like the most anti-neocon person ever. It doesn't not make sense. She was playing 4D chess. Well, why don't you guys talk for a little bit while I play these. Oh, by the way, did you guys see that Vaush debated Nico House? And the whole debate is very cringy. It's a train wreck. I can't say that Vaush really won, but the debate is just really weird. Like, at one point, Nico House like starts talking shit about Vaush's girlfriend and comparing his girlfriend to Vaush. And I was just like, what the hell's going on here? It's just very awkward to watch. So let's see. Let's see if I can get this on okay. Okay, what are the actual buttons on this game? That's what I need to understand. Change, okay. All right. I saw that he was, yeah, I did see that. All right, let's do this shit. Here we go. How's the sound? Loud enough? Check, 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 check. Check. All right. Here we go. seen this game before, Tom? I just discovered it, and I was really impressed. For a Famicom shoot 'em up game, I mean, it's incredible. You have multiple fucking weapon options and shit. It's great. Oh shit. Oh shit. Oh shit. Fuck. Fuck. Oh shit, I accidentally used my bomb. I shouldn't have. Like, even that slowdown, I don't even mind it. It's minimal. It's great. Shit. Whoa! Yeah, check out that scrolling right there. Beautiful. Oh shit, I accidentally used my bomb again. Yeah. So cool. Ridiculous. Oh, I have a limited amount. Oh, it's like a timer. Wait, what is that timer at the bottom? Is that how long I can be this special? Shit. I'm feeling this boss is not going to be easy. Oh man, I love how the sound effects just sound like straight out of Super C. It's so neat. Fuck. 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 Fuck! Yeah. Oh no, Karush, what do you say about Brace? I want to see that. I want to see that. Sorry, I wanted to scroll up to see what you guys were saying. Why do you see why it was never brought to the States, JNNX? I was actually confused. I don't really see why it wasn't. Like, it's not too hard. I mean, it's very arcade-like. You would think Nintendo would want a game like this to come out of the States. I don't know. I don't understand it. I mean, were shoot 'em ups just not very popular, or they didn't sell very well on the Nintendo? Level's a little hard to see what's going on. Fuck! Fuck! Fucking shit, dude. This game is very intense. Whoa. Fuck. I can't even tell what I'm not allowed to hit now. That's getting a little frustrating. I guess I can just hit anything. I mean, there's no... What the fuck? That's crazy. What? God, there's so much fun destruction for a... Shit. I don't, am I allowed to go through there? Oh, I can. Okay. Fuck. Shit. Oh shit, bullet hell time. Oh no. Ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. Fuck. Dude. Motherfucker! I love how anytime anybody comes up in here, everybody just shit talks. If any, it's so funny. Oh, Life Force on the NES. I grew up with that game, Tom. I'm very familiar with it. The game that I was less familiar with on the NES was the original Gradius. I actually didn't play that until fairly recently. And also the Super Nintendo Gradius games. How long have I been going? Have I been going over an hour? Let me see. Looks like I've been going a little over an hour. A little bit. Did you ever play Gradius 5 JNNX on the PlayStation 3? I think. PlayStation 3? That's an incredible game. Metal Storm. I totally... That sounds very, very familiar, Triox. Is it a Famicom or Nintendo game? Because, you know what? I got almost the whole Nintendo library here now, so... Oh, thanks, Volta. I appreciate that. That was my attempt at doing all car plus strong synthesis sort of guitar thing. I think it sounded pretty convincing, but I mean, the whole point of it was, you know, to be able to do things that you can't do with like a real guitar. I do music live streams out here sometimes, but I haven't done one in a while. You could go back and look at I mean, they're still up. It's experimental music. Some of it's like with no rhythms or beats. Some of it's got more rhythms and beats, but for the most part, my music is, I guess, would be considered experimental for most people. Speaking of which, one of my favorite groups, Autechre, has a new record coming out in October, which is pretty cool. Oh yeah, Voltavin. My pal Identity Theft has an album, relatively new record. Check out his Bandcamp page. It's really, really good. Jan and X, no, I don't have anything for Bandcamp Friday. I mean, you can check out my stuff. You can subscribe to me on Bandcamp Friday, but I don't have anything new. I mean, I might post a live show, but I don't have anything like ready to go that's released. You know, that's like done. I'm actually supposed to release a record on Acroplane, which is a digital label, and they're still waiting for my tracks, and I have really seriously procrastinated on giving tracks to them. That record is going to be more like Telesync Furugo that I put on Catabatic last year. I think it was last year. Yeah, I think so. Oh, cool. I'm glad you hadn't heard that before, Fuzzy. That the Anti-Masonic Party was officially the first third party in the United States. It's a little bit misleading, though, because right after the Anti-Masonic Party started, a lot of other third parties started too. Weird ones. Like there's a party called the Nullifiers that started like 2 years after the Anti-Masonic Party that were like extremely pro-slavery, like very racist, like even more so than the Confederacy later on. So it's a slightly misleading because even though it was technically the first, it was like at sort of that era when all those third political parties happened. I don't know. Yeah, I mean, I need your help on that, Michael, because I have to admit, I am not keeping up on new music these days. Like, unless it's stuff from my friends and families. My friends and you know, people that I know in the scene, I have not really been taking much in. Let me just I told you at the beginning of the stream I did want to show you, and Michael, if you're still going to stay on for a bit, this is actually, I had you in mind when I was doing this. Because of Baby's Kids, Michael has requested it's a long-standing request from, I don't know, I would say maybe at the very beginning of the pandemic. Wow, it seems like it's been like forever since it started, but you requested Baby's Kids for Super Nintendo, and I said that I would play it. And are you ready? Or do you want me to give a full playthrough? Because I don't know how. I mean, I'll probably play it for like 10 minutes. Is that enough, Baby's Kids, Michael? Okay. All right, man. Here we go. All right. So you can see how like this little sort of this modded system here, sort of what's going on. Retro Arch, I think, is a... Okay, so check this out. This is like sort of like the Pandora's box. Hold on. So just showing you what I have here. The Game Boy Advance section is particularly interesting. Like I said, there is a licensed game for almost any popular property you can think of from the time Game Boy Advance exists. Like every cartoon, it's kind of nuts, actually. So we'll do that later. Triox, you ever play the Game Boy Advance Star Wars prequel games? Particularly Revenge of the Sith? That shit's actually pretty good. It's a little repetitive, but you actually like act out the entire movie in it, including like slicing off Anakin's legs and burning him and shit. It's really actually pretty surprising. Here we go. Here we go. Bay-Bay's kids. See all these stupid games that I have on here? See all these goddamn games? Wait a second. Wait a second. There it is. There it is. Here we go. Yep. Finally. Yeah, that's just looping. I like that. It's like a... I want to actually try to get to the bottom of this, Michael. There's so many weird samples in the Super Nintendo that sound like totally different than like any other sampling libraries from the time, and I wonder if like they got consulted by like Emu or Roland or something. I feel like Nintendo had to have worked with like a company that was already really familiar with sampling. Because like think about this, at the time, and you can correct me on this, Michael, if you know, but when the Super Nintendo came out, I think in like 1991, I think it was like the only device other than a hardware sampler that just played back songs made from all samples, which is kind of interesting in and of itself, that it might have been like the first widely available device that could do that. Because even at the time, computer sound cards were not playing back music with samples. They were still using either an FM chip or using CD quality audio at the time. So it's just kind of weird. It's just a weird era of snapshot in time. LeSean or Khalil? Who? Yeah, Top Collector, that's true, but I consider that a hardware sampler. I mean, I think most people couldn't afford those. Like, they were pretty expensive. Here we go. Please observe the rules while in Fun World. Okay. Enjoy your stay. Oh, shit. All right. Okay, so I don't know if you can tell already how horrific the controls in this game are. Like, seriously. Look at this shit. So I guess it's a beat 'em up. I think. Trying to maybe look like the Simpsons game, arcade game. Look at the AI on those guys. It's like the Simpsons, but if someone put the Simpsons through a delay pedal. The control here. I want to see if you can see this. I don't even know if you can like tell how sluggish they are by looking at this. No, it probably didn't even matter. So the arcade's closed. So I'm just gonna outrun these guys, I guess. How many times do I need to hit him though? Is the question. Usually beat 'em up game, the enemies on the first screen would be dead by now. So I can duck. So I can duck with a button that makes me stay ducked if I don't press it again. I have no idea what's happening. Like, how many punches do these guys need? Weird. Holy shit. Dude, look at this. This is like... I feel like this is like 50 hits. Wow. What the fuck? Wait, and there's this another guy just coming at me? Wait, why is he running away from me? Dude. Oh my god. Holy fuck. Oh my god. Dude. This is an unreleasable game. Like, the people who made this game at a certain point must have been like, we can't release this, but we have to release this. So I guess we're gonna release it. You never remove the thing in the code that makes it, you have to hit the bad guys 50 times to kill them? Alright. It's going to market. Fuck it. Like, what the fuck? This is beyond a lot of the games I've even seen reviewed by the Angry Video Game Nerd. I mean, this is like ridiculous. Somebody forgot to fix this game. The only explanation. This is the first screen of the game. I'm still on the same. Holy fuck. Dude. What? Whoa, wait. This is amazing. This is like... Wow. This is an incredible game. Holy shit. Oh my god. What? Can I even get that? Is a baseball right there? Can I grab it? Okay, I can. Alright. Where do I... Can I hit him with it now? I have 8 baseballs. Oh, wait. Okay, wait. I don't even know what I just did to throw the baseball. Wait a second. What? I still don't know what button I'm pressing to throw the baseball. Wait, Dude. What? All my life is draining away, dude. Holy shit. This is absolutely incredible. Oh, I guess the ball is right trigger. Does that mean I can grab the basketball too? Okay. What? Okay, it's a different button now to throw the basketball. Dude! Oh my god. Insane. I have to progress. Time's gonna be up again, though. It's a problem. Fuck. Dude. What? Oh my god. Wow. Okay, I think I have to hit. Yeah, maybe that's the trick. I just gave you upper. Wait, what? Wait, so that only takes 2 hits if I uppercut. That's great. Good to know. All right. Let's do it. So you need to uppercut every bad guy, basically. Every other special move is completely useless and will make you run out of time. Fascinating. Oh my god, this music. This is fucking fantastic. Holy shit. Do I kill the baby? What do I do? I don't even understand. Okay, so he catches him, and then what do I do with them? They just seem to break when I grab them. I'm so confused. Oh shit. Oh my god. Wow. Wow. All right. I break the plates, but like nothing would change when I'm breaking them. Oh no. Let's see if there's let's see if there's an option screen to like play the music for Bay-Based kids. Oh, Leisure Suit Larry. Leisure Suit Larry was a much better game than this pile of shit. At least Leisure Suit Larry was like done with finesse. Even though the guys who made it were obviously like weird, lonely, horny nerds. The Leisure Suit Larry is a very weird game. I remember people used to trade it on floppy disks when I was in middle school like it was pornography. Like, oh man, I got Leisure Suit Larry 3. A girl pulls out her fucking big tits in the 3rd level. It's amazing, dude. I mean, that's the kind of like middle school talk. That's the kind of locker room talk that I had. That's my version of Trump. Fuck. God damn it. I can't play it anymore, Michael. I'm sorry. Let's see what else is on here. Oh yeah, the Game Boy Advance stuff. Okay, yeah. On a similar tip, I'll show you, because I mean, Bay-Based Kids is a licensed property, and one that people probably don't remember very well. And additionally, Michael, did you know Bay-Based Kids was based off of a famous comedian who passed away before he had a chance to record all of his actual voice acting bits for the movie, so they actually replaced him with someone else. So it was like the guy's like vehicle launch, like his baby. It was Bay-Based Kids, and he did not live to actually perform in Bay-Based Kids. So it was like a concept based off of this famous comedian. He was supposed to do the voices, and he died. Fun fact. Game Boy Advance, though. You know what's weird, Tom Collector, is that the guy who modded this managed to put Mortal Kombat 3 and a bunch of arcade games on here that actually run way better than on the other Pandora's box thing that I have. And it doesn't really make sense to me because I think they're both actually running off the same Raspberry Pi, technically. I think. Okay, so yeah, check this out. Check out how many goddamn options I have for this. This is fucking crazy. You guys are gonna understand why this is a new fascination of mine. Okay, so I guess I don't know. Let's see what's in W. Ooh, Wario Land 4. I didn't even know that shit existed. I have to play that, obviously, at some point. So you can see all these weird license games. Wolfenstein 3D for Game Boy Advance. That's got to be horrible. What is that like? Okay, I don't see one. I don't see one in here that I'm into. I'm gonna save Wario 4 for a special time. Yeah, look at this shit. I mean, look. Do you see what I mean now? These weird children's games. Like, this is like a Disney Channel show, isn't it, or something? Phil of the Future. Let's play it. I mean, it looks like kind of a Pizzagate-y game, if you know what I mean. So let's play this game. What I think is kind of cool is that these games actually don't look too bad. They look pretty good. What the fuck is happening? Is this Hi, Dad. Is that Kevin Nealon? Who is that? Whatever. I can't leave yet. Fuck you. Stupid asshole. I'll quit you. A boy in his blab. Okay. What's a good Game Boy Advance game that I can just blow right now and not worry too much about it? Is the Prince of Persia game alright? Jesus, look how many goddamn Power Rangers games there are. This can't be good. Why are there so many? Jesus Christ. I'll play Super Mario Advance. That sounds doable. Sonic, I'm just gonna do terribly at, Catherine. And I already tried playing it, actually, the Sonic Advance stuff, and it's hard. Nico House has a Game Boy Advance game. Let's see. Spy Kids 3D. Oh, there they are. Let's see. Jesus, so many SpongeBob games. Oh, I thought I went into the right folder. I guess not. Oh, oops. The Sum of All Fears for Game Boy Advance? That is fucking weird. I don't know Scruffed World Order. I think we tried playing them. Oh, this is 2. Oh, fine. I'll play 2. I don't remember what this even looks like. Oh, what a weird, Is this different? Wait, this is different than... Hold on a second. This is not regular Mario 2. What's going on here? I've never played this shit. What in the fuck is happening? This is very weird. I have never played this. I thought it was just a regular Mario remake. I'm not very good at these older. I'm not very good at Mario 2 in general. See. Here, I'm gonna go to a different one because I'm a different Mario Advance to close out this episode. I suck at Mario 2. And I don't love Mario 2 either. This one. Yeah, let's do Mario World. Okay. Very interesting music and stuff. Like, it sounds totally different from the Super Nintendo version. Totally different instrument library. Interesting. Wait, what? There's a fucking story intro? How do I quit do this bullshit? Wait, so you can play as Luigi and Mario in this one? I don't remember ever playing these. The emulation's also a little bit choppy, notice. Not the most solid. Is it more pipe? No. Yeah, why is it so washed out looking? Is that just the way the Game Boy Advance looks when you don't run it on a good emulator? This is a totally different level too from what I remember from the original Mario World. It's like a modded, slightly modded Mario World. Fuck. Dun, 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 dun. Ba-dum, bum, ba-da-da. Dun, 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 dun. Shit. Wow, that sound seems kind of messed up too on the emulation. Strange. Oh, I have to fucking go there, huh? Fuck. Yeah, the music is off. It's strange. Let's throw on another rando game. Curious what some of these other games are like on here. Oh my god. The sum of all fears. Dun, bum, 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 bum. River City Ransom for Game Boy Advance, does that exist? Or are you asking just in general? Does that exist? I mean, I have it on Nintendo. Oh, they have this. Weird. I've never even, I didn't even know this existed. Interesting. I suppose I'll play this. And I'm probably going to close out soon as well. Looks cool. Wow. I love this. This is great. This is fantastic. Am I supposed to get that money? Probably am, huh? I don't know how to jump. The controls seem a little jacked. I'm not sure what I'm supposed to do with it. Oh shit. I don't understand. Let's just go up here. What the fuck am I supposed to do? Oh, okay. Whoops. Yeah, this game's cool. I like it. It's got a nice, it plays better. I mean, it has cool additions to it that are, oh, there's how you jump. Yeah, yeah. Oh, cool. That's cool. I like that. How do I do things though? I need to learn. Seems like a lot of the Game Boy Advance games I noticed they have more advanced control schemes than most older Super Nintendo games. They're like a little more in depth. because it was sort of running simultaneously with the PlayStation era. I think that's why. Or just games had evolved by that time. Weird. Puzzle attack? Are there any shoot 'em ups for Game Boy Advance? What the fuck, indeed. Very, very strange game library on here. What Gradiuses are there for this? Are there any special ones? Like Masters of the Universe, nice. Max Payne? I don't know what that's like. It's gotta be a side scroller of some kind. Mega Man Network. Huh. I don't... Ah, fine. What the fuck? Wait, what? Where does this go now? Holy shit, this is awful. Fuck yeah. Clean that shit up. No. No. How do I get out of here? All right. Well, thank you for joining me on episode 83 of Main Politics today. And I think I'm going to do it again tomorrow. I'm not going to get quite back on schedule yet. But in the Main Politics Discord, which I'll put up a invite link to on the description of this, you should be able to find the information about like when I usually do these episodes, if you're new and you haven't seen the show before. And about half of these episodes, that's the rate I'm about doing it now. 50% of them I'm making private after they air, but you can get access to all of them if you subscribe to my Patreon at patreon.com/Robbie Martin. If you subscribe for $5 a month, you get access to the whole backlog of Main Politics episodes on YouTube. Thank you, everybody. Take care. It was good talking with you all, and yeah, it was a lot of fun. Bye.